So, welcome to the second ever Hegemony Revealed, which is a collaboration between the wonderful Trina Casey, Sahana Chattopadhyay, close, and Garry Turner. And I'd love to, before we get going today, first of all, I hope that you allowed yourself to breathe as you read those few statements at the end. And I'd love to offer Trina an introduction, then to Sahana, then myself, and then I've got a little thing to share before we get going today. Thanks, Trina.
Okay. Hi, I'm Trina Casey. Thank you for joining me and Sahana and Garry today. And I look forward to today's discussion because it's one that's been on my mind for the last year. Sahana.
Thank you, Trina, and thank you, Garry, for creating this space and our collective space. And I see this space and ourselves as collectively co creating the future we wish to midwife, birth, and live into. And I'm taking the liberty of speaking on behalf of all three of us that our dream and our commitment beyond dream is to create that future where all of us, all life, all sentient life, can live in dignity, with respect, with love, compassion, and peace. And that's all I want to say to begin with. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Garry.
Thank you, Sahana and Trina. And yes, myself, I am the person that most of you will probably least expect to be in this collaboration based on supremacy culture patterns, because that binary thinking goes deep. You have to be over here or you have to be over there. So I work within the chemicals industry full time, and I have a deep, deep passion for being part of collectives like this that are trying to hold space for constructive challenge, constructive dialogue, seeking to imagine beyond where we've been conditioned to stay. And that's pretty much my part of being here today. And before we go into an open flow, and I just want to honor again, Trina 10 days ago said, hey, this AI thing, not sitting well with me. And then Sahana done some great writing, Trina done some great writing. There's been some great contributions from you out there on the back of some of this as well, and we're going to explore that shortly. But first of all, I just want to share I had a very big, personal, vulnerable learning moment myself today. The three of us had a very powerful conversation this morning. And part of the reason that I shared those three statements as we went live today is it's very, very, very easy for myself as a white male in the West to not see when other human beings are innocently or otherwise being erased in the moment. It could be very, very simple. It could be very significant. It might be being missed off a post. It might be being sidelined for a meeting. It might be ensuring that you're nowhere near the room. But I just want to say that I've had some reminders this morning, and I'm grateful to Trina and Sahana for holding the mirror up to me today, that it's so easy for me as a white man in the West to not see or sense half of the day-to-day patterns that perpetuate every single one of our lives. And I just want to put that invitation out there today. This is not about fear. This is not about anxiety. It's not about running away from this. It's actually this space that we're co-creating is one of invitation, of connectedness, but constructive dialogue. And I just want to say thank you, Trina and Sahana, for helping hold that mirror up to me this morning. And where do we go from here? We've got 25 minutes. We may have some people coming live. If you join us, just to state, if you join us in the comments on LinkedIn or YouTube, I will be monitoring some of those comments. I'll make them available to the team as we go. So please do engage. We do want to pop those up on the screen and engage with you. But the priority is that we hold an important and safe space for the three of us, but you're welcome to join. So feel free to pop. I'd love to know if Trina or Sahana would like to dive in first, and thanks again for being here.
Since I came off mute first, I'll just go here. And I just wanted to say, we did have a very deep conversation today, and where I expressed some feelings that, through the fear of feeling probably judged or whatever. But I'm dedicated to having open heart conversations about my feelings and the feelings of other people, because inevitably what I feel, somebody else has felt. And that's the interconnectedness that we all have. And so, how everything was handled was exactly how I think communication should be. You know, no fear to say, I hurt, and then that hurt being received with compassion and with love, and then deeper inquiry and deeper trying to understand where it comes from, trying to clarify, intentions or words, or coming to a place where um, you're self-aware, where you go, oh, Garry has just said, I came to an awareness. Until we get to that point as, a collective, we're always going to have all this strife and misunderstandings and hurt. But if we collectively come together to listen and to be brave enough to even speak, we will solve so many problems. We'll solve so many problems. So thank you. Uh, Anybody else? Sahana?
Yeah, I was just kind of keeping that space a bit,
Mm,
listening to you. And what came up also for me is that increasingly, while our world is getting more and more, quote unquote, interconnected through technology, conversely, everyone appears to be becoming more and more atomized as individuals, disappearing behind their screens, behind their gadgets, behind their what you will. So while technology can give this semblance of connection, there we have to go deeper into the source that you said. You mentioned about hurt, and why is it so difficult very often to receive someone else's hurt, to see, to hear, to truly see and hear? Because all the technological connection, and please, I'm not a luddite. I know my past few articles might give that impression. I use technology as much as I need to, and I love technology when it serves me, but I'm not in love with technology. And I think what is happening is, we are so getting so caught up in the seeming connection, that the deeper connection, true connection, the relationality is being lost. So we are unable to see, really see another person, feel another person, and sense that hurt and hold space for that hurt. Instead, what happens is we either retreat behind our gadgets or behind a smoke screen of defensiveness and whatever else,
yeah.
where immediately it becomes, oh, it's not about me. I didn't hurt you. I didn't do it. Rather than expanding that space and getting into a dialogue, an inquiry, into just holding space, just being human. So I think as we become more and more human, when I say, and I'm not saying we don't use technology, we use it consciously, with with wisdom, with purpose, and definitely we use it to keep us connected. I mean, we are talking because of technology today from across the globe. So I'm very thankful for that. But let's also be aware that we first exist as interconnected human beings to be with each other in spirit. And yeah, that's where I think then we'll start seeing each other, irrespective of our skin colors.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
That's
Yeah. Technology is I love technology. I'm a geek. I can get into anything. I love programs. My problem right now is how easily it can be corrupted, and we're not aware how easily it can be corrupted and how much it has corrupted so many people, you know, from false information, disinformation being put out on the internet, from hacking bank websites for no purpose other than to eliminate the competition. I still don't understand why somebody would hack somebody else's website, but anyways. And this AI thing, whew, it's terrifying to me. I used it the other day preparing for this conversation. I hadn't even touched it. I said, I'm not gonna use it because it's evil, it's hegemonic programming. We're gonna be stuck. We're gonna, you know. When I used it and I put my website in and I said, write me a write up about my website for an ad. Within seconds, I had a clean, professionally written write up. And I was like, oh my gosh, so many people are going to lose their livelihood from this. So many people. And that is what one of the main reasons why I'm not against technology, but I am against making people obsolete. You know, people have worked their whole lives and become a part of this community of the world. And because of the capitalistic structure that we have in place, they're surviving. They're not thriving. They're surviving at the moment. And we just threw another wrench into the wheel of people's survival. And I think that's very unkind. And I think it's like when, you know, the US sent jobs over to, or actually the globe sent jobs over to China, India, the car industry, you know, went to other countries, and these people in the US in particular went into poverty. You know, people, especially Black people, because a lot of Black people worked in the motor industry. And so, yeah. What do you think, Garry?
So you've just opened up two really critical areas for me. First, I'm just going to say thanks to Lana for coming along, just saying, using it with intentionality and with the heart around how it can liberate all of us, not a select few. And I think this is the comment I'd love to build on. Thank you, Lana. So again, bear in mind, I work within the belly of the beast, as I call it. You know, deeply extractive chemical industry touches every part of our lives as we know it. So you know, it's a good thing in many ways because we've got the lives we have, we've got the quality in many parts of the world, but we forget, I believe, in the West, particularly in my sector, that silence, that erasure of literally 90% of the planet in the day to day because of we have to hit the targets. We have digital transformation to keep it on a technical lens, right? The myopia that underpins digital transformation is bigger, quicker, harder, faster. It's not about connection, understanding, empathy, co-creation, reimagining. It's about recolonization as hard and fast as possible so people don't have to feel. So this is where I'm sitting with it. This is where I'm uncomfortable. I was amazed as well, Trina. I literally went in last night. I was like, yeah, okay, what's this thing? And I'm literally gone like, what's hegemony? Imagine that I wanted to do this. And I tell you what, the quality of the outputs is quite astounding. Actually, it's wow. It is very much wow. But then, like you say, Trina, for me, there's then the wow of it is awful what's going to happen with jobs. But then I say, hey, if technology is going to serve everybody and everything on the planet, and this is what's going to happen as a result, we need to have a different system that sits behind it. Yeah. So if you're going to have unconditional basic income and roofs over everybody's heads while we build this technology for all, that's a different lens, right? Because you're actually building a system that sustains and can even generate innovation because people aren't working 6 jobs just to get by. They've got a roof over their head, they've got money in the bank, and they're not chasing the next gig job, right, for $2. So I think this is the danger that I'm witnessing is the recolonization of the Western narrative at a time when we need to be completely breaking it down and then co-creating new narratives, which I believe is what this is totally all about, right? There's no judgment. We're not blaming anyone. We're just saying, hey, like there's a lot of stuff that's happening that most regular people won't even realize. And I think it's what we're trying to do is say, hey, do you realize? And I think that's the opportunity with this space, right? Is do you realize there's a lot of other things happening that maybe you want to have a conversation about? So that's what I'm sitting in, Trina and Sahana, right now.
Thank you, Gary. Trina, very, very important points about technology. And so I keep going back to one point is technology is a facilitator, is an enabler. That's how it should be used and should be seen. Now, what is it facilitating? Who is it enabling? Who is benefiting? And who is paying the cost? If we can wrap our heads around those questions, it will be very easy, or rather, it will become really simple and apparent that a handful of people are reaping the benefits, whereas for the rest, for a 90% of the planet, it still doesn't exist. I mean, I cannot. So we have across the road we have slums. I can't imagine anyone in the slums having access to this immediately or even knowing what to do with it. The danger is when you use technology like this with AI enabled, you need discernment to understand what is it churning out. Is it churning out thoughtful information, or is it churning out a string of sentences which are perfectly constructed but which could be a phishing email, very perfectly constructed? So if it can churn out software, may not it churn out malware? If it can churn out an essay, can't it churn out a phishing email so well constructed you would click on it because you wouldn't realize it's phishing email? So what are we truly enabling, and what is the data set that these are being trained on? How global is it? How pluriversal is it? Or are they still being trained on the same old narrative of profit, productivity, power, privilege? So ultimately, to responses to cues, you'll get a set of templatized responses, which are again still very Eurocentric, hegemonic. And like you said, Gary, rather than breaking this narrative, breaking it down and rebuilding together civilizational narratives of very different um, scope, we are just going to embed this narrative further, entrench it further into every aspect of our lives, because this will just make it faster. So, are we making faster, better, more efficient something that we should actually eliminate? So, are we like going to hell in a handbasket, not on a bicycle, but maybe on a jet plane?
Wow. That's a really good point, Shanna. It's a really great point because and I love what Gary said about dismantling. I've always said in order to change, in order to heal, we always have to get to the root. We have to break it apart. And if you have a shaky foundation on a house, you might as well not build a new house on top of it. And I think that this chat GPT is just saying, okay, there's a crack here and everybody's going away. So let's go over here now. I see how people ran away from Facebook. I see how people are running away from um, Instagram, because those sites revealed very big cracks in our privacy and how we treat each other, everything, really big cracks. And so people are rejecting, people are having their grand awakening, as I say. And I just, it's really important that we don't just go in and embrace some new version of the same system just because it's shiny and new and it can make our lives easier. It really, in the end, the root is the same. It's still sick, it's still unbalanced, inequitable, whatever word you want to throw in there, it's still not right. And until we really, even history, there, it's still not right, you know. And as we're correcting course, we need to. Someone said the best thing for humanity right now is annihilation. And I went, ugh, is that really where it has to go before we evolve? Because we've gone through a few cycles, of humanity where we had technology and it was going up and then everything just disappeared. It crumbled. And I think it crumbled because the same hegemonic principles kept going into play every time. It's like they didn't learn. They didn't learn that didn't work before. Well, it worked for them. Didn't work for anybody else. It worked for them. So we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again because it aggrandizes these families and this, system that's capitalistic that makes us wealthy. We don't care about the peasants. So we need to stand up and stop feeding into it. Just stop. As I told Garry many times, we just have to stop. One day of stopping would put the planet and these people in such a state, they'd remember who was in power. Yeah.
I'm having a really big reaction to what you're literally in the top of my head and my body. Trina, I want to share for my network in particular again. I really want to speak to those white men in particular that do have power, that do have privilege, that are not allowing themselves to slow down and to feel. Please check out this website from Tema Oken. Check out Sahana's work, check out Trina's work. But I always come back to this website and I invite you not to get hung up on the white supremacy statement on the front. It's a system, their patterns of behavior. Please don't flare up, don't trigger. Just please check it out with curiosity, inquiry, because all it does is it shows you that things like urgency, things like defensiveness, things like fear, things like I am the only one, we've all been conditioned with these behaviors since we were born. And it's the stuff we swim in. So why wouldn't we see it until we do exactly what we're doing today and giving ourselves grace to take 30 minutes to go, breathe. Okay, what's going on in my world right now? Is that real for me? Is it true? Is that person really upset because of what I just said, or are they hurting at the moment? Can I be there for them? There's just so much more that we're able to do, Trina and Shahana, I believe, but we just don't. We've had the trust conditioned out of us. That trust we had in ourselves when we were born has been progressively sort of eroded over time. And it's just like, it's still there. It's still there in full. It's still vibrant, just under all these layers of conditioning and sort of story. And I'm just really, just cannot invite people enough to get really curious about this because I agree with you, Trina. I think we're two or three completely stopped, silent days away from everything tipping. If the whole world stopped for 72 hours and did nothing else apart from just stop, I think everything would tip 3 days later. I truly do. Shahana, I'm conscious that we've got 5 minutes left, but I'm wondering what's on your heart and mind, Shahana, as we go towards a wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it, you and Trina, Garry. And I just also want to quickly acknowledge that Lana and I also had a very deep conversation around this. Lana, if you're listening, a shout out to you. Thank you also for exactly. That's exactly what we were discussing, that we are losing a lot of unheard, unseen voices that are being deliberately made invisible. They are not invisible, they are being made invisible by a narrative that just wants to stay dominant. So, any counter hegemonic voice is a danger to this narrative. And you know what else are dangers? Creativity, true wisdom, people who are willing to slow down, people who don't go starry eyed over technology. People who are willing to be connected to another people and nature over a shiny tool. Such people are dangers. People who love poetry and music and reading and books and trees and birds and the bees and this blue sky are not wanted in this narrative. They would rather have robo like humans who are conformists, who wish to conform and do as the narrative tells them to do. So, what we are creating is we are trying to mold the world into a machine. And this machine age, or rather, I call it the age of technocracy, is is kind of tipping over into technolunacy, because we are not seeing the harm. We are seeing it, but people in power would rather not see the 10-year-old Kenyan and little children digging for cobalt. They don't want to know. They would rather have the shiny gadget. They don't want to see the sweatshops. They would rather have those branded shoes. So, what has created that, and how can we move away from that narrative? What is it that we absolutely must hospice to birth what we collectively want? Thank you.
We'd love some final thoughts from you, Trina, before we all head off.
I'm just digesting everything Sahana said. It's a pity that we keep letting this happen. And I say us because we have accountability to choose differently as individuals, because we absolutely can. We don't have to get excited for the next iPhone. We don't have to get excited for this ChatGPT. What we should do is dig deeper, like these kids in Kenya who are making $2 an hour, who helped create this platform. We're not talking about that. It just didn't go boop. But the techrosity that you said, they just seem like they want us to think that it just appears and it's the new thing. And I just think we're bigger and greater and smarter than that, and we need to empower ourselves and self-reflect, slow down. I love slowing down. I would love to slow down more. I want to go back to winter being hibernation, healing, because what we're made. That's how we're built, actually. We're not supposed to be go, 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 go. We're supposed to sit down and be still. But most of us have so much trauma and so much pain that if we slow down and sit with that, I don't know, a lot of people won't get up, and that's why they avoid it instead of healing it. So I just send a wish out to everyone that it's time to sit and heal. You'll be okay. You will, promise you. But until we do that inner work, we're just going to keep the cycle going.
Thank you, Trina. Thanks, Sahana. My final word is a very simple one around ESG. Environmental, social governance is a big topic in the West at the moment. There's a lot of boxes being ticked. There's a lot of investment going into proving it's not as bad as it used to be. It really is as bad as it used to be. Let's be honest. Let's look at the real situation underneath the covers, and let's try and reimagine better, because I know that we can, as Trina and Sahana have shared. And my invitation also is, if you've watched this or you watch this back and you'd like to join us, we don't just want this to be the three of us. We're really open to bringing you on as part of the dialogue as well. All of it, part of it. We're not pretending to be sages in all of this area. We're just curious, inquiry-fueled human beings like Lana is and many other of you. If you'd like to join us, this is what it is. It's what is it? Is it a chat show of sorts? I don't know, Trina and Sahana, but it's definitely a chat show of difference, I would say. So until next time, take care. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And my deepest gratitude and love to you, Trina, and to you, Sahana, and to all of you for joining us. And keep in touch. See you all soon.